Well, welcome everyone. Excited to share announcements today from the Department of Energy on our first round of semifinalist selections for the CDR Purchasing Prize Pilot. This is a first of a kind effort for both the DOE, but we also think for governments around the world in actually purchasing carbon removal credits from some of the innovative suppliers. We are following in the heels of the voluntary carbon markets and leaders in groups like the First Movers Coalition who have staked out this space to date. And we're very excited to join and share progress on our end with these semifinalist announcements today. As a high-level overview, what we've announced today are 24 semifinalists that span a wide range of different carbon removal pathways. These 24 semifinalists will now compete for a next round of prizes. Up to 10 finalists will be selected. Those 10 finalists then will compete to win $3 million each upon delivering carbon removal credits to the US government. This is an effort that we're really excited about. We think it's a critical demand side component to a lot of the supply side work that DOE is historically supported in this space, whether it's from smaller science and innovation projects, all the way up to the direct air capture and storage hubs that were that Congress enacted in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. Our own purchases are intended to also help catalyze the market and are directly related to the parallel voluntary CDR purchasing challenge that we released as a notice of intent a few months ago. So very excited for this program. To give folks context about where this program is coming from, it is part of the commercial direct air capture prize provision in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. DOE is funding two tracks in this program. The first track we are going to talk about today, which is our CDR purchase prize. The second track is focused specifically on supporting direct air capture supply innovation, small pilots. That program will be released in the coming months and will complement the CDR purchasing aspect of this. Together, we think that these two elements are really critical when it comes to what makes commercial direct air capture. The commercial business case for direct air capture requires a market for CDR credits in every case that we're aware of, in addition to the government incentives that were passed in both the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and in the reform and expansion of the 45Q tax credit in the Inflation Reduction Act. So it's the combination of the supply and the demand that really are going to enable direct air capture to scale. And we're excited to be supporting both ends of that equation here at DOE. Stepping back, the commercial direct air capture prize programs fit within a much larger portfolio of work that DOE is pursuing related to carbon removal. It's all framed under our carbon negative shot program that was announced a few years ago. The goal of this program is to support a wide range of approaches so that we can achieve $100 a ton carbon removal inclusive of the robust measurement, reporting, and verification within a decade. We think that's an ambitious yet achievable goal, and we're pursuing a lot of different approaches to achieve that. A lot of that work is funded by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, including our program here, as well as the $3.5 billion direct air capture hubs program. We also have funding through our annual appropriations, and that is typically used to support smaller scale innovation, including the carbon negative shot pilots, as well as our marine carbon removal work. That work to support the technology supply is complemented by work to improve measurement, reporting, and verification across the CDR spectrum. We recognize that CDR is unique amongst the DOE's energy earthshots in that it is not delivering an existing product or service in a clean way. It is fundamentally trying to deliver a new service atmospheric carbon removal. And in order to do that, credibility is key. And so we need to have really robust measurement, reporting, and verification that can be adopted by the industry that uses it, and confidence from the purchasers of credits and from policymakers alike that the carbon removal that is claimed is actually being delivered, and that the climate impact of these projects is what it says it is. DOE is also investing across a wide range of offices. My office, the Fossil Energy and Carbon Management Office, plays a key role, but so too do other applied innovation offices, as well as ARPA-E, the Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations on the larger projects. And there is also Loan Authority at the Loan Programs Office to support certain types of carbon removal technologies. In addition to that dedicated carbon removal work, it's worth noting that we are supporting a much broader carbon management effort at DOE as part of a broader US government-wide effort to advance the technology. And our many of those pieces of the carbon management value chain are directly relevant to our carbon negative shot, whether that's supporting CO2 transport and storage hubs through our carbon safe and CIFIA programs, and or providing technical assistance to other agencies such as EPA for their Class 6 permitting. We really are investing heavily in making sure that there's supporting infrastructure to support carbon removal projects and carbon management projects alike. Lastly, I'll note that carbon removal will need to scale in a global context if it's to achieve the impact that we want on the climate. And so DOE is co-leading part of the Mission Innovation Carbon Removal Launchpad effort in order to make sure that the carbon removal work that we can pioneer here in the US can be complemented and scaled elsewhere, and that we are harmonizing our standards for measurement, reporting, and verification in a reasonable way globally. So bringing back the CDR purchasing prize, the prize is structured in 3 phases. And what we've done is we've intentionally cast a broad net, because what we care about here is the outcome, not necessarily the technology pathway itself. The 4 technology pathways here align with DOE's authorization to work on carbon removal from Congress and includes a wide range of approaches. I think the key for this program specifically is, as part of the criteria, we set the durability requirement to be geologic storage or equivalent. And so the intent here was to get very long-lived and permanent CDR in the same way that we've done, where we've established the statutory authority to do Class 6 CO2 injection and long-term storage. And we think that that's an important benchmark for the field going forward. The structure of the prize is 3 phases. The first phase that we're just announcing the winners of submitted concept proposals to us. This is a high-level description of the technology, the project, and the approach to structuring a carbon credit. Those projects have then been down selected to the 24 semifinalists that were announced today. In phase 2, those semifinalists will refine their concept into a full-fledged carbon removal contract that includes the detailed measurement, reporting, and verification plans. And that will then be down selected into payment on delivery and verification of the tons. And so we're really focused on moving from phase 1 to phase 2 here in this announcement today. The goal here really is to make sure that we've selected a wide range of projects across all 4 areas of interest. We'll share more about the specific details of that. But what we also want to do with this program is make sure that we are as transparent as possible with how we've gone about selecting those 24 semifinalists, as well as the measurement, reporting, and verification frameworks that are going to be developed here. We recognize that there are not internationally accepted standards for what counts as CDR or as measurement, reporting, and verification once that CDR is delivered. What we're hoping to do here is surface the state of the art across that space as the field develops and those standards start to get codified in an internationally recognized and consistent manner. It's also key that we are including community benefits as a key piece of our selection, just like every DOE major pilot or demonstration program requires community benefit plans. This program too will include that as part of its evaluation criteria, not just in the first phase, but continuing throughout the life of the project. Here, what we've awarded the winners of this semifinalist crew is a small milestone payment of $50,000 each for a total of $1.2 million across the 24 semifinalists. That money will then, there will be another milestone payment for the 10 winners at phase 2 with a $3 million payment made once they deliver and verify CDR. I think a key piece of this prize is recognizing that it is both a pilot and novel in nature, as well as far from sufficient to catalyze the market alone. And so what we are doing here is intentionally learning with the market and hoping to catalyze significant external purchases of CDR to crowd in and join DOE in buying carbon removal. One of the ways that we've done this is we've applied the best of DOE technical and engineering rigor to evaluating these projects. So not only have National Lab and DOE experts reviewed the applications, but we also worked with external parties. Carbon Direct was the contractor that helped us evaluate these projects as well. So what we hope to do with these projects is demonstrate that DOE has provided an incredibly deep technical assessment of these projects and has validated that we think they have a really strong chance of delivering carbon removal at a very high standard in the near future. Again, this is not an indication that these projects are ready to deliver credits. These semifinalists have to continue to refine their pitches, and then ultimately will get paid once they deliver the carbon removal. But we think that this is an incredibly important start and hope that it is a signal to the market of voluntary purchasers that DOE views these projects as having a really strong chance of delivering carbon removal. What we also want to do, as I mentioned, is make sure that we are advancing standards for measurement, reporting, and verification. We know that this is a critical component, and we are going to make transparent our efforts to codify what counts as appropriate standards today, and to use that as a part of the baseline as we work both with the private sector and with other governments around the world to harmonize standards for carbon removal in the future. Okay, so again, focusing here, phase 1 is what we're going to provide more detail on. The evaluation criteria are listed here. I think the key is that it was a multivariate evaluation process that not just looked at the project's technical merits, but looked at the community benefits aspects, looked at the broader rigor around the life cycle carbon accounting, as well as the team. And it was our intention to make sure that we're evaluating all of the key components that are going to be determinants of project success in the future. Moving on to the companies that we selected, we'll briefly go through these by technology category, the first of which is direct air capture and storage. The 9 companies here that are selected represent a diversity of technology approaches, as well as a diversity of geographies where they are developing their technologies. We're very excited that these projects complement and build on a lot of the direct air capture funding that DOE has done to date, and expanding that into new territory as well. As you will see, a lot of these companies map to some of the awardees in the direct air capture hubs provisions that were the initial awards were announced recently. Section 2 is on biomass carbon removal and storage. Here we also have a wide range of different approaches. I think notable here is that we've selected not just bioenergy with carbon capture and storage. There are certainly some companies that are developing heat and power powered by biomass and carbon capture associated with that. But there's also companies that are working on different forms of biomass or bioproduct burial as an alternative form of carbon sequestration, not in the CO2 form, but in a different biomass-based approach. On the enhanced weathering side, we also have a nice portfolio of companies here approaching the enhanced weathering approach from a number of different angles. I think what's important to note here is that there are a lot of companies across the United States that are not necessarily in the same geographies as many of the point source and direct air capture and storage opportunities. I think this is a really important signal that carbon removal itself has really broad geographic diversity, and that diversity is not tied to either existing point sources or geologic storage opportunities in salient aquifers, and that there are opportunities integrated across a lot of different areas in the US, and especially an important agricultural nexus here as well. Let's see. I want to talk about this slide first before I go to the map. The last category was included a lot of ocean or marine-based carbon removal. This area is a really important piece of DOE's portfolio. We have some direction from Congress to support smaller scale efforts in marine carbon removal, but it's an area that's growing and an area that we are working with Congress and across the agencies to scale our work in this space in the future. One thing that's important to note is that the Department of Energy is working at part of a broader interagency effort to advance the R&D efforts associated with marine carbon removal, and that NOAA is leading a lot of important efforts in that area as well. So as we wrap up here, I want to note again that the geographic diversity of these companies is something that's really encouraging for us. Here is where a map of the headquarters of these projects, but what you'll see over time is as the project locations firm up, there will be dots on this map all across the United States. It's something that we have seen with our direct air capture hubs, especially some of the earlier feasibility studies. And we hope that this is an area to really expand what opportunities are possible for communities across the US. And it's a really critical component of our work. What we want to do is make sure that the carbon removal innovation that we are pioneering here in the US provides opportunities for communities across the United States to have new opportunities for jobs and economic development aligned with a net zero and then beyond economy of the future. I'll just conclude by leaving some metrics up here about exactly what we are trying to achieve with this purchase pilot. But again, to recognize that this is the semifinalist announcement is the first round of announcements in ultimately what is the first round of DOE carbon removal purchases. We have funding from Congress to run a second round of purchasing with 20 million additional dollars that were appropriated in the fiscal year 24 spending bill. And we are encouraged to see that Congress has additional bipartisan bills today that would support further carbon removal purchasing efforts at the department here. We see this as a really critical strategy to complement a lot of the historic work that DOE and others have done to advance the supply of innovative pilots and demonstrations of carbon removal technologies. And we're eager to build the best practices that we can when it comes to purchasing CDR and work with external stakeholders to make sure that we can scale this program as much as is needed to crowd in the resources that we are going to need to get the carbon removal industry off the ground and to deliver on the climate, economic, and broader social benefits that it offers the promise of delivering.